Burkino Faso, Captain Ibrahim Traore, and it's just a few facts that I'd like us to explore together. Um, we are all impressed with the progress that he's made so far in his country. We're all impressed by his integrity, his loyalty to his people, and also just how far he's allowed his country to come in the past couple of years. So Ibrahim Traore was born in 1988 in Burkina Faso. He has a civilian background before joining the military. He studied geology in university, and the impression back then of him was that he was very quiet, although obviously intelligent. He was the valedictorian. Sorry, I cannot pronounce that word. He was he was a valedictorian of his class, and instead of continuing his studies, he joined the military academy in 2009. So already there, that shows a commitment to his country. In that, despite of his abilities and his potential, in probably studying, getting really good grades, getting a really good job, he decided to join the military, which is a sacrifice, somewhat. He graduated in 2012 and he joined the artillery regiment of Kaya. 2 years later, he was promoted to a lieutenant. Apparently, everybody was very impressed with him. He was quickly promoted, and he created a great impression on everybody. His superior sent him for anti-aircraft training in Morocco, and he completed that successfully. After some junior positions, he was deployed to Malai in 2014 as a soldier on the UN peacekeeping trail. So, as we can see, he was of military background after his studies, and he showed great potential every step of the way, quickly promoted. And for somebody in that position, he could have actually like gotten a very cushy job somewhere with all those high grades, with those high marks. He could have really achieved a lot in his life in the sense of accumulating riches for himself and getting a really good job. So he was sent on a hi Anita, hi Arthur. So I understand what you mean. I actually get that golden VR. I know what you mean. The colours, right? Okay, so he was sent to the front lines of Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso, fighting jihadis. He showed a lot of bravery. He showed a lot of intelligence and leadership, and he was also very close to his men. And so it was a very, I think in the military, because of the intensity of the environment, who you are becomes very quickly apparent, and clearly he impressed a lot of people while he was in the military. He was very close to his men, well respected, and he was promoted to captain in 2020. So that's pretty impressive from joining. He joined the military academy in 2009, graduated in 2012. 2 years later, lieutenant. So he had quite a he advanced quite quickly in the military. He impressed a lot of people. So he was on the front lines, and through being on the front lines, who he was, was quite apparent. And he was promoted to captain in 2020. So in 2020, he became Captain Ibrahim Traore. He was sent to different destinations. The terrorists were causing havoc in the north to the people of Burkino Faso. So I think while he was in the military, he really got to see and understand what his people were going through. So the citizens of Burkina Faso were just being terrorized by people in the north, by the jihadis, by all the fighting going on in the country, and he had a very close up look at what was going on. Apparently, in January 2022, Captain Damiba led a coup, and on the strength of the coup that he done in 2022, Captain Damiba actually said that he he wanted to free the country from the fighting. He wanted to provide a brighter future for the people in Burkina Faso. He wanted to do all these different things for the people. So when he led the coup in January 2022, Captain Ibrahim Traore was part of that, and he just wanted people to be restored to their day-to-day lives. Ibrahim Traore was promoted to head of the artillery in the Kaya regiment. That was in the center of the country, and he was one of Captain Damiba's loyal men. However, during Captain Damiba's stint in power, the number of attacks increased, and there was little improvement in the quality of life for the people of Burkina Faso. So I think this is where the disillusionment set in, even though there had been a coup in January 2022. Apparently, there was no improvement, there was not much happening, and one of the logistical nightmares is that soldiers that were based in remote areas weren't getting paid on time. So, as captain, um, Captain Ibrahim Traore, he was tasked by his colleagues, by his comrades, to go into the city and speak to Captain Miba about their pay and about not being paid on time, about the lack of resources, about the heavy losses that they were suffering in fighting, and and basically the people in the army, even though they did support the coup for Captain Damiba, they were very, very disillusioned with the state of Burkina Faso. So, Captain Ibrahim Traore made countless trips to the city to speak to Captain Damiba about the soldiers not being paid, about lack of resources, about all the heavy losses in the fighting, and apparently nothing changed for the soldiers. And I think every president knows that you need to keep your military happy, but clearly Captain Damiba didn't see that through, and so apparently Captain Ibrahim Traore, when he was making the journey back and forth with the concerns of the soldiers about the lack of pay, about late pay, about lack of resources, about heavy losses, he kept being fobbed off each time. Nothing was changing, and apparently as well, he couldn't help but notice that the president and his entourage were in air conditioned offices. You know, they were very comfortable. They had more than enough money for themselves. So they were being looked after. They had money, air conditioning, safe from danger, while Ibrahim Traore and his men were in the heat of the battle and suffering heavy losses and weren't being paid on time. So lots of disillusionment was setting in, and also the number of attacks increased, and yeah, there was no improvement really. And so disappointment turned to anger. Um, Disappointment turned to anger. High the High Dark. That's how I say it. I'm not sure how to say your username. Hi Dark. Was it D4? D. Anyway, yeah. So there was a trigger situation on the 26th of September in 2022, where the jihadist oh, it's going okay. So my partner's going to Ghana at the end of this month. So he's going in a couple of weeks to set everything up. Then I'll be joining him. I'm quite nervous. We've got some trees and stuff. We've got some plants in the back that haven't really grown as much as I hoped, because one of the trees is a coconut tree, and we wanted our guests to be able to help themselves. We've got a mango tree, but they're not as fully, basically things aren't as ready as what I hoped. However, the launch should be this year. My husband will be going out there first, and then I'll go out there to join him, just to put bits and pieces around. There's so much to do. Thanks for asking. It is going well. It should launch this summer. Definitely keep you posted. But yeah, thanks for remembering. If you've got any tips for us, please let me know. I know we're going to learn from our mistakes, but it'll be good to get tips as well. But I'll be vlogging while I'm out there. I'll be going on live while I'm out there as well. But yeah, hopefully it'll go well. But we'll see. But yeah, very good. Um, right, so the soldiers that are under Captain Ibrahim Traore, he they weren't getting paid on time and stuff. So they're unhappy. They've been sending their. Yeah, I remember you. You said you were going for 5 weeks because your dad works in Kumasi. Of course, I remember you. Are you that person? You said you're going for 5 weeks and your dad's going there for work and you speak Afrikaans. You're from South Africa. Exactly. Of course, I remember you. I just wasn't sure if you wanted all your business out there. Are you there now, by the way? Or are you yet to go, or have you come back? Um. Oh, you're back. How was it? I hope you had a good time. Was it rainy season when you went out there? Oh, and when are you gonna go back out there again? I'm gonna be out there later on this year. But I'm glad you're back safe. I'm glad you enjoyed. Hopefully, good. Good, good, good. Next time you go, one of the things that I love, I don't know if you eat street food when you're out there, but I love fried yam with pepper. Do you eat street food when you're out there? It definitely is. It definitely is. But at any time, try fried yam with pepper. But I'm glad you got back safe, and um, I'll be out there later on this year, and so I'll live stream from the Airbnb as well. Okay, good. Mm, that's really good. Of course, I remember you. Um, okay, so there was a trigger. Um, so all the soldiers were quite unhappy. There was a trigger on the 26th of September in 2022. The jihadists attacked a convoy and they killed 37 people, which included 27 soldiers. So, of course, the morale went really down because they shouldn't be suffering such heavy losses. They felt like they couldn't protect the people in Burkino Faso. So, everyone's really frustrated. And a week earlier, Captain Damiba had gone to the UN summit in New York, and was just talking rubbish basically, and pretending that everything was fine, and that they needed more money, and lots of people in Burkina Faso felt like that was a waste of money, waste of resources, waste of expenses, and it was just the last straw. And so when all this happened, Captain Ibrahim Traore travelled to the city to request an audience with Captain Damiba. I'm gonna cough, guys. So I haven't been feeling well. He requested an audience in regards to the soldiers not being paid, about the resources which aren't enough, and the president completely ignored him. The president completely ignored him. Um, Gosh, I feel so sick. He didn't grant him a meeting, and this is when the soldiers decided to do the coup. Sorry, guys. I'm just thinking. Imagine being in the yeah. Can you imagine being in one of those cities and being besieged by the jihadis and the things that were probably going on, and expecting your president to come and rescue you, and the soldiers just seeing, can you imagine the nightmare that was happening? Um, yeah. So when the president ignored Ibrahim Traore, he spoke to the soldiers, and they decided to overthrow the government because they were suffering heavy losses. Lots of soldiers were dying. They didn't have enough equipment. Towns were besieged, and I believe when you're in the army, you make a commitment to protect your people. I was actually born in Ghana, and during the military coup, I came over to London with my father, and when you're young, lots of adults think you don't remember things, but I actually remember lots of things about soldiers being in, like there was a curfew, everybody had to be indoors by a certain time because the army were around, and they'd blow like an alarm, a curfew alarm, and everyone had to be in. So I don't personally know what it's like to be under siege, but I can't imagine what these people have been through during all these different people going in and out of power. We take so much for granted. So on the 30th of September, 2022, at dawn, shots rang out, and yeah, the coup was in place. On RTB, which is a media platform in Burkina Faso, around 8 p.m. that evening, there was an address explaining the coup and the overthrow of Captain Damiba. Um, it was also stated during that address that that human rights would still be respected, and the international community would didn't need to be afraid. There'll be no abuses of power. And during that address is when we were introduced to Captain Ibrahim Traore, and he was and within 48 hours of that um, announcement, uh, there was a there were claims that the that Captain Damiba was based in the uh, French military, planning a counter coup. And then when the general population caught wind of that, there was a whole anti-French thing. People were protesting in the streets. People were protesting, attacking French institutions, and attacking the French embassy. And yeah, within the 48 hours, um, the coup d'etat turned into a popular insurrection, and the general population of the people in Burkina Faso decided that they wanted all all traces of the French military removed from Burkina Faso. So they decided they wanted all the French military removed, and Captain Damiba was forced to resign, um, and left the country, I believe. And overnight, the Air Force and the Special Forces actually deferred over to Captain Ibrahim Traore's leadership. So, at 34 years old, Captain Ibrahim Traore was installed a transitional president of Burkina Faso. Thousands of people gathered in the capital for a victory rally. There was some tension with France, because France, between the ages of not ages, but between the years of 1896 up to 1960, France had colonized Burkina Faso. So there was some tension when all this was happening, and they were asked to leave. However, in January 2023, Burkina Faso gave France 1 month to withdraw all military operations. So the military operations that were in the French military operations that were in Burkina Faso were supposed to be there to support them in fighting the jihadis and to protect them from all the fighting in the north. But clearly, it looks like there wasn't much help. So finally, in February 2023, there was a flag lowering ceremony. Sorry. And yeah, the French military left in July 20. And that's quite historical that they left without. I don't believe there was any bloodshed, which is what I believe Ibrahim Traore was trying to avoid. I don't believe there was any bloodshed, but yeah, so they left. The French military left after a flag lowering ceremony in February 2023. In July 2023, Burkina Faso Burkina Faso held talks with Russia at the Russia Africa Summit, and that's when Captain Ibrahim Traore made his speech, which led to lots of people comparing him to Captain Sankara. And that speech was really wonderful, honestly. If you're able to look up that speech, it's so inspiring. So that's the speech he made at the Russia Africa Summit. Fortunately or unfortunately, in January 2024, Burkina Faso withdrew from the ECOWAS with immediate effect. So in January 2024, they announced that they were leaving the ECOWAS bloc with immediate effect. However, ECOWAS did say that they could have a 6-month grace period to see if they'll change their minds. And officially, I think you could only you could. I think officially you have to give a year's notice. But they said no, we're leaving with immediate effect. And ECOWAS were like, hey, we'll give you 6 months grace to see if you change your mind. The split was kind of sparked by the fact that the three countries, Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, are all led by military, or were all led by military leaders, basically. Like they all got to their leadership by a coup d'etat, and ECOWAS was applying pressure for them to reinstate diplomatic rule, basically, and they were like, no, we're not having that. So they broke away, and so they officially left in January 2025. But at the time of their leaving in January 2024, they said we're leaving with immediate effect. We're gone. Yeah, like we're so proud of him. We're really proud of all that he's doing. Um, I think we are a bit worried about him. You know, we've all heard the rumors about there being a bounty on his head, and his close circle being approached to assassinate him. But hopefully he stays safe, and what he's done, the movement he's created, is a lot bigger than just him. So it will definitely continue regardless of what any outcomes are. But we want him to stay safe. Um, I think for me, one of the things that really astonishes me is the speed of all this happening. You know, usually it's such a long road of, when people say revolution, we usually think of that in terms of years. There are people that 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 want to start a revolution. It may be through art or music or through the military or just through, you know, like Maya Angelou. I believe she was a revolutionist through her literature. Um, Langston Hughes, Billie Holiday, you know, um, what's her name? Rosa Guy, Alice Walker, all these people, and some Nelson Mandela. So many people have 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 triggered a revolution through different means, whether it be through books or, you know, just different things. But for me, the speed of which this revolution is happening is so crazy. Like, it's so wonderful, and I know it's going to trigger, even in Barbados and Jamaica as well, the fact that no, Barbados have actually come away from under the sovereignty of the United Kingdom, and I believe Jamaica's planning to do that as well. And it's just so amazing for me anyway to see it happen in real time. And because of social media, everybody's able to connect and support one another and hold people accountable. And it's such an inspiration to see what's happening in Burkina Faso. We want him to stay safe. We want him to birth revolution in other people's hearts, and it's just so wonderful to see. So I just wanted to go through a few of the facts of his, different milestones in his life. But yeah, we're just really proud of him, especially in Ghana. We're super proud of him, and you know, there's a lot going on now. Like the dollar has gone down in Ghana at the moment. I believe it's 13, 30, I think it's I've forgotten. But I know the dollar's crashing in Ghana right now. So there's a lot happening on the world stage. As I was saying to Dark, we'll be out in Ghana in a couple of months. My partner will be going out there in a couple of weeks. So I will definitely be live streaming from there. We'll be opening our Airbnb. So hopefully that will be in time for the summer 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 market. And we're based in Kumasi as well. But yeah, I'll definitely be live streaming from there. But I won't be going for a couple of months. but my partner will be going in a couple of weeks. But yeah, so I hope you all have a great week. Welcome back to Dark. I'm glad you got back safely. I'm glad you got everything done, and you're back home. I'm not sure if you're studying. I'm not sure if you're on holiday, but thank you for joining the live. I will be back on Sunday, and I've also got my uh, verdict coming up on Monday from the Employment Tribunal. So I'll let you know on Monday what the verdict was. But thank you for joining the live and take care. Bye.